are you all? So I'm having a different point of view today. I'm doing this from my iPad, so I'm going to flip the screen in a moment because Facebook changed things and I can't flip the screen. So if you want to read the screen, it's easier to be reversed. So I hope this all works out well. So I'm going to flip the screen. What am I making today? I am making what's in the bottom of the fridge soup. Okay, so let's get cooking. So what's in the bottom of the fridge? I bought a beautiful new cauliflower, but it got a little bit of a freezer mark on it. So I'm actually going to use some of the leaves. I've got some herbs from the garden, and I've got this pot of basil that I was going to plant, but it's near the end of its days now. And I've got some carrots, and I've got the stalk of my broccoli. So, and I've got a couple of tomatoes. So don't waste anything. With these days, with the cost of everything, my bowl had some linseed in there that I milled earlier, so I'm not gonna bother about washing that up. But I normally like to buy a whole bunch of celery, but this was in the markdown tray, and because a lot of the time I'll use the top of my celery, not the top, I use the top of my fennel or my Dutch carrot, the tops of my Dutch carrots, but I specifically bought the celery because I had nothing else, and so that's been sitting around a couple of days. I love celery, so I don't normally waste it in my stock. So what I'll do is take that knobbly bit off. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put my scales on because I'm going to weigh about 700 or 800 grams of vegetables, okay? Because that's going to be about max. So I'm just going to put all these odds and sods in, and I'll keep the better part for myself for a snack. With the broccoli, I just cut it up into cubes like that. My carrots, I have just washed them. I don't worry about peeling them because it's all going to get chopped down and it gets cooked at a really high heat. So no need to peel. So whenever you're putting anything in your Thermomix, you're not going to put a piece like that. So just cut it up into chunks like that. So we'll throw that in. I don't put those, what I call the dodgy bits. We're not going to put the dodgy bits in. So those stay out, and then just into chunks. How are we going on weight? Still got a bit more to go. So I've got a bit of cauliflower here. I'll put that in. I've got this. I'll put that in, and I'll put the leaves of the celery as well because there's so much flavour in all of this. So every time I make stock, it's a different colour. It all depends on what I put in there. So the recipe, I think, asks, I will grab an onion actually, because I do like to put onion in. So we're getting close to our weightage, but I'm going to teach you a little trick, what I do if I've got more, because I often give jars of stock away. So I've got my tomatoes there. What else? Oh, and then I've got my herbs. So I've got some beautiful rosemary. I think the secret to this stock is fresh herbs. So I'm very, very fortunate. My lovely husband he keeps my herbs alive because I'm pretty rubbish. I've got a little bit of parsley, not a lot. So I don't put the woody part of the herb. This is thyme, because we all need thyme. And I just pull that off the stalk because I don't put the woody part in, okay? So we're getting up to about 800 grams. So if you're looking at this, and I'll show you in a second, it will actually show you that it's relatively full. So I'm going to just pull this off and put that in. Oh, gee, that smells good already. I love thyme. And that's it. Anything else I've got there? Nope, that's fairly well full. So, my lid. Just pop my lid on. And I'm just going to come back to the manual mode, and I'm going to chop that down on speed 8. So speed 8, go. Seconds. So there's probably going to be some things caught on the top. So if you have a TM6, you can use, or TM5, you can use your spatula through the lid. With the TM7, you can't. So it's one of those things, it does take getting used to, and yeah, it just needs a little bit of a mix up. Put the lid back on, another 5 seconds, I'd say. So you can hear when it needs to be scraped down. So, yeah. And as I said, that is probably one of the times that I do miss the lid on the, and that one piece of cauliflower was a little bit too big, so we will help it along. Now that has broken down quite a bit now, so it's still got plenty of room to come to maximum. So what we will do is put a little bit more into the bowl to max it up. And what I'm going to do this time, a lot of the time I buy the pink Himalayan salt. I need something else. Oh, I've got another bit of zucchini here that's a bit what I call how's your father. So, and then I'm going to put my scale on and I'm going to weigh my salt in, which I thought I got out, but I obviously didn't. So, always use the amount of salt that the recipe asks, which is 150 grams. Why? I know it sounds like a lot of salt, but you'll see it's the flavor base and it's also the preservative. Yes, it looks like a lot of salt. If you want to cut the salt for whatever reason, you would need to freeze your stock because it won't last as long. So I've got about 150 grams there, and I'm going to chop that down. And then it doesn't matter if it's not all chopped really finely because I've still got it on speed 8. Doesn't matter if it's not chopped down fully because at the end we blend it again. So as long as it is chopped enough that you can start cooking, that's actually, there's one piece of, it's quite a chunky mix. Okay, now in the main recipe it actually asks you for some oil. Now I don't normally put oil in mine, so I'm not going to today. And this is quite a wet, so depending on the ingredients, I've got a lot of celery in here, which has a lot of water. So this will probably take 30 to 40 minutes to cook down. The longer you cook it at the Varoma temperature, the more it will thicken and condense. And that's another tip when you're making jam. So we're going to come back to home. Come back here. I'm going to come in and I'm going to put it on Varoma temperature. So that is hotter and it will then help to, it asks me for the Varoma on top, but it doesn't matter that I haven't. I'm going to put that on for 30 minutes and go. Speed 1. So you can't even hear it. So it will call me. It's also telling me on my phone, where's my phone? It's also telling me on my phone how much time I've got left, which is going to be perfect because I'm going to have a makeover. That's why I look a little bit disheveled today. I'm going for a makeover. So I'll come back a bit later this afternoon and show you my new do. So anyway, I'm going to leave that to cook for about 30 minutes. You can do 20 to 30 minutes. The great thing at this speed, I can lift and lower, and this still isn't anywhere near maximum. So if I had more veg, what you do is as you can see, I had about 800 grams before. I added a little bit extra, chop it down, add more, chop it down, add more. And it's nowhere near max. So once you put the lid back on, it'll just start cooking again. So where am I? Go back. Perfect. There it is on steaming temperature. Anyway, I will see you all on the flip side. If you're watching this later, please hashtag replay. That helps bump it up. So anyway, have a great day. And I've got 2 jars. Let's see how much I get out of that. So I'll come back later and show you. All right, have a great one, and I'll see you all on the flip side. Bye.